The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
Who wants coffee? Anybody wants coffee?
Can you get me a dog type thing?
The Italian's tired.
He ain't good looking, but he sure ain't shy. He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land. Nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Testosterone high today.
Yeah, Tom's a man, he's got the plan, he's really got it made. What a wife he's got, she's smoking hot, check out the junkyard babe. When everything is said and done, no one can beat his show. He's a high-tech redneck, Tony Soprano. If you love sports without the fluff, he's got the master plan. Cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham, yeah.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Football Friday in the Doghouse. And you know, it occurs to me that we have not been on the last two Fridays, right? We were not on Christmas Eve. We were not on New Year's Eve. So this has been like 3 weeks since we've been on a real Football Friday. And today, it's not Christmas Eve. It's not New Year's Eve. It's Football Friday, which means we get to play it. Oh, like a long-lost friend. It's always Football Friday, but especially on championship weekend and the final weekend in the NFL. What a chance to get our groove on here. The original Monday Night Football theme. Give me a little guitar here. Let me hear that guitar. I wish I could do that. If there's a skill that I don't have that I wish I could have, it's that one right there. Not the organ, not the piano, not the keyboards. That axe, man. That's the one. That axe. Not the horns. That axe. All right, we got lots to get to here. Oh, gosh. Like 90 seconds of glory. Phone lines are open. Feel free to jump in. 256-576-4977. Station's Twitter feed is 97.7 ESPN. Mine is at Thom Abraham Show. We're on the Twitch and the Facebook at 97.7 ESPN. You can watch the show there. Our YouTube channel, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Check that out. You ready to bring it home? Let's bring it home. There you go, baby. There you go. Need a cigarette after you listen to that, don't you? I know you do. I know you do. Make sure you get the app, will you? Get the app where you can find links to Zone 2, 3, 4, our alternate streaming channels for more great programming. Alabama basketball, UAH basketball, Havoc, select hockey or high school games as well throughout the year. College football playoffs coming up on Monday. All that coverage that we have there. National championship game. We are your home for everything. And yes, we will have full team coverage from Indianapolis this weekend. The boys are on their way up there in the University Kia thing. They're heading up. Wes heading up. That other guy there, Moulton, he's heading up. Tom's not heading up. Tom's not heading up. Me and Chad are going to stay back here and hold down the fort. Chad and I are going to stay back here and anchor from back here. But the morning and afternoon guys will be up there. And we have all kinds of additional programming for you over the weekend, including Media Day with the players tomorrow morning. We have got the coaches. You'll hear from both coaches in the coaches press conference Sunday morning. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Plus our regular, we got UAH basketball. We got Alabama basketball. All kinds of stuff going on. But you know what Friday means around here? It means the Friday trifecta. That's right. And today, it's our annual championship fecta. Okay, it's easy for me to say. Championship fecta. Champfecta. We got 4 picks that are all from Monday night's national championship game. Look, I'm down with the NFL. I'm excited that they're playing tomorrow and Sunday. I get it's the last weekend of the NFL. I get all of that. But Monday night, man. Monday night. You are playing for Chow at Champies, plus tickets to an upcoming Have a game today. Plus, we have begun our new grand trifecta, which goes through the Super Bowl. And the grand prize for that is a night in the TOC Sports Ice Suite at a Havoc game hosted by the Junkyard Babe, myself, Grizz, Andrea, if she's still around by then. If she's not with Grizz, the JYB really liked Andrea. Maybe we'll invite her. She'll be like, she'll have dumped Grizz by then, and then we'll invite her to the thing. You get 4 spots in the suite. We'll have some chow in there. First round is on me. So here you go. Your championship fecta. I can't say championship fecta. Your champ fecta looks like this. Who scores first? Georgia? Or Alabama?
Bama, Zach, in your honor, roll tide, brother.
The game itself. Alabama
is still Alabama.
Plus 2.5 against Georgia.
I sure as hell don't want to play him again.
I sure as hell don't want to play him again either. Over.
Under no circumstances will I be eating beans on Monday.
Or under.
They want to spread you out and still pound you.
52.5 points. And our tiebreaker. Stetson Bennett the fourth.
You're next.
Plus 80.5 yards against BY.
Roll all over their ass.
So you understand how that works? If Bryce Young passes for 350 and Stetson Bennett the fourth passes for 210, you take his 210, you add 80, they give him 290, Bryce Young wins. That's the 80.5 yards is about the average difference per game between Bryce Young and Stetson Bennett. Not from the first game. Forget that. I mean, if we went by the first game, it would have to be like 1 million. Because what did Georgia throw for in that first game? I mean, if you go back to the first game, well, that's not true either. Choose the numbers from the first game to give you an idea how it would be. Stetson Bennett threw for 340. What's 340 plus 80? 420. Did I just make that up? No. 340 plus 80 is 420. How many yards did Bryce Young throw for? 421. So if it, my God, I put that number to, I handicapped that at 80.5 without even looking at the last game. I mean, I must have subliminal crap rolling around in my head that I just have this stuff there. I didn't even realize that until I looked at the statistics from the first game. I went by the averages. The averages aren't 421 and 340, but the averages are about 80 yards difference between Bryce Young and Stetson Bennett per game this season. But lo and behold, in the SEC championship game, Stetson Bennett threw for 340, and Bryce Young threw for exactly 81 yards more, 421 yards. All right, so that is your trifecta. Coming up in a few minutes, Allan Bell Jr. from CBS Sportsline is in with his thoughts on the weekend in the NFL, who's in, who's out, and the upcoming offseason quarterback drama that'll play out. And we'll get his thoughts on the Natty as well and on the trifecta props. Then at the top of the 11, Connor O'Gara is back from Saturday Down South. Talk Alabama, Georgia. Talk about Auburn's new quarterback, Zach Calzada. Transfers in from Texas A&M with an Alabama pelt on his wall. We'll get into that with him, too. Plus, running back Zach Evans. Remember Zach Evans? Remember the recruitment of Zach Evans and how dramatic all of that was? 2 years ago, he ended up at TCU. He had signed with Georgia, and then they released him, and he ended up at TCU. Well, after 1,063 yards in 2 years as a Horned Frog, he is now back in the SEC, signing with Ole Miss in this transfer portal thing. It's crazy, man. It is so nuts to try and keep up with this transfer portal. One thing to remember, and I think some of this might be lost on some people, but just as a refresher, in the transfer portal, remember, you get one free transfer with immediate eligibility, okay? Unless you are a grad transfer, that's a different thing. If you've graduated and you can transfer, you're immediately eligible. But otherwise, you get one free transfer. If you want to transfer again, if Caleb Williams wants to transfer again before he graduates, then he has to sit out a year. Unless the place he was at, like, discontinued football. When he ends up going to USC, he's not going to Eastern Michigan with Charlie Batch for $1 million. He's not doing that. I don't think. He's not going to Jackson State. I think he's going to play for like a real P5 team. I think he's going to USC, obviously. Going to go be with his boy Lincoln. Greg Sankey says again that the SEC is fine with just 4 teams in the playoff, but he understands the concern that the sport has become too regional, meaning that basically it's all in the South. The champs are all in the South, because if it isn't Alabama, it's Clemson or LSU or back a few years Florida or maybe this year Georgia. I mean, the power base is in the Southeast. What are we supposed to do about it? We're supposed to apologize for this? What are we going to do about it? It's honestly, it's one of the reasons why I am an automatic qualifier guy. Because in the end, it may be a couple of Southern teams playing for it all, but at least we'd have a winner from each region of the country getting into the tournament. Because sometimes you don't know 100% just how dominant the South is in college football. So, let's leave no doubt at all. Let's take a Pac-12 champion. Let's take an ACC champ. Let's take a Big 12 champ. Let's take the Big 10 champ. Let's take the SEC champ, and then 3 wild cards. The next 3 best teams. And if you want to tell me that you want to have a group of 5 team that, long as they're in the top 12, they automatically get in. Any group of 5 team that's rated in the top 12 automatically gets it. Fine. Then we'll take them. But they got to play the number 1 seed. They come in. Well, they don't have to. I mean, it could be seeded wherever they get seeded, I guess. And then you take 2 wild cards in case there was an upset in a championship game. Play your way into this thing. And remember, the G5s that made the most noise in the last several years, right? UCF, Cincinnati, Houston. Well, they're all going to the Big 12. That's their bite of the pie. They'll be in a Power 5 conference. As will independent BYU. So who are the next biggest programs? I don't know. Maybe sometimes Boise State or Memphis. Well, maybe Boise State needs to be in the Pac-14 along with somebody else. Take San Diego State and Boise State and add them to that or whatever you want. All right, we got all of that to get to. Plus, you know what? Baseball Hall of Fame voting is underway. Less than 3 weeks to go. It's the last ballot for Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Curt Schilling, for that matter. It's the first one for David Ortiz and A-Rod. We have early results coming in. About a third of the ballots are public right now. And if I get to it, I'll tell you how that thing's going. Over there in a little glass room with a slanted ceiling, playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax. Thankful that Football Friday is back, on Friday. It's Coach Chris.
Who in the blue hell are you?
I'm the producer of the show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put the thing together out of college.
Brilliant! I've got $100 smoking in my billfold. I know I ought to save it, but it's burning a hole right through my pocket and into my skin. Come Monday morning, I'll be broke again. It's finally Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's finally Friday, I'm out of control. Forget the working blues and let the good time roll.
Someone call someone because there's a cleanup on aisle 3 as a man is down.
It's like taking poison, like rat poison.
It's not St. Patty's Day, so that's a different day entirely.
Hey, Grizzlicious, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. It's a glorious Friday. It's actually pretty decent outside. Really, really nippy, but pretty decent.
You think 20 degrees is not decent?
It's good hunting weather.
Not
that's
enough
for sure.
degrees.
Good hunting weather, that's for sure. Sitting
Well,
out
we're
in
not
the hunting
hunting.
stand or something right now. You know what I mean? Like it'd be nice to be out, to be out in that right now. But
No, we wouldn't.
I mean, it's like a bright, beautiful day. You know what I mean? It's like compared to the last couple of days with the rain, like the ice rain and all the other. I mean,
it's
just
a good
the
day
snow.
to look out the window. Is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a good day to
It's
be
the
looking
perfect
out
day to
the
be looking
window.
out a window. That's for sure. And just getting ready for Monday and this weekend and all the coverage that we're got going on. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Let's get Wolverine Dan in here. Get a couple of picks in here to get things started with our Friday trifecta. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, after yesterday, I'd go and beat the big
on.
dog, and then I get a message text
Come on,
from Larry.
Wolverine Dan. Calling all Wolverine Dans.
Whoa!
Hey, there you are. How are you?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Grizz was pressing buttons over there, I think. I don't know what it was, but I got you.
Yeah, Grizz getting a little out of hand.
I don't know what that was. I didn't press anything.
I don't know what happened there, but it's always the first caller of the show. You know what I mean? It's always the very first one of the show.
Radio Gremlin. That's what it is. Now, hey, Larry texted me the other day after I did beat the big dog, and he says, "You've been drinking early."
Yeah.
I said, "You know what? I picked those picks so I could just say Michigan."
Yeah. He texted about your Glumpkies. He said he loved Glumpkies, and he wanted some of your Glumpkies. I think that's what he was saying. I don't know. Another man should never ask another man for a Glumpkie. I don't think. But
did you give some to your wife last night?
You know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you. They didn't make it out of the restaurant. They ended up with the big guy. He loves them Glumpkies, man.
Holy crap! He ate all those.
He ate them all. He loves him some Glumpkies.
Lord have mercy. That man is just an eating machine, man. Eating machine.
He is a machine. There's no doubt about it. Plus, he had a beautiful meal there from Baumhauer's.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we had a good time. We had those hot lips. I recommend the sweet chai chili. That's really good.
I like my lips plain. I had the plain lips with the honey mustard and the curly fries.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's a good thing too. Hey, that place is good. Happy hour from 2 to 5 on I believe at least 12 to 5 or 2 to 5 for the food, and appetizers half off, and then from there you got your 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock half off brewskis.
Yeah, place is great.
All right, now let's do the picks. Let's get this going. All
right, who scores first, Georgia or Alabama?
Alabama. Bama, Zach, in your honor, roll Tide, brother.
All right, for the game, Bama plus 2.5.
Oh, I got to take Bama.
Oh, you're going to take it.
Alabama is still Alabama.
Over or under?
To get the recording.
Huh?
I was hoping to get that recording. I just
Over or under 52.5 points?
Under.
I don't even know what. We'll go under with that one. And who has more yards passing, Stetson Bennett the fourth, plus 80.5 yards, or Bryce Young?
Okay, so let's get this straight. You got a guy that's a walk-on for Georgia, and then you got a guy that's been recruited as 5-star that just won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
That's a pretty no-brainer. I think I'll go with RTR.
Yeah.
Roll all over their ass.
Well, keep in mind, I mean, last time it was exactly 80 yards, 81 yards that separated them. So, I mean, there is that,
No, Tom, I think the big dog.
He was a walk-on. He's not a walk-on anymore. Let's stop saying he's not a fifth stringer anymore. He is pretty good. That's a minute.
You picked Georgia yesterday, and I think that was a wrong way to go. I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen again. This team is just. You know what? It's a dynasty, dude. It is what it is. Okay. So.
Oh yeah. Well, there's no doubt it's a dynasty. Yeah.
So it is what it is. So. I guess I have a happy. Although I'm not going to watch the game, I told you I don't really care.
You gotta watch the. You'll watch the game.
Oh God.
You'll watch the game.
All right, fellas. I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Ray Dog is next. Ray Dog, welcome to the show. How are you?
Guess we'll just go ahead and get the legends all out of the way in the first segment.
Right off the bat, we get them out of here. Yeah.
First of all, a log to add to the fire for everyone else marinating the trifecta. The last time Alabama lost to a team from the eastern side of the bracket, Steve Spurrier was the head coach.
No, that's not true.
2010.
That's not true. Well, yeah, it was 2010, but that was Urban Meyer. That wasn't Steve Spurrier. That was Urban. Think about it. That was Tim Tebow. It was actually 2009 was the last time. Right?
Last time I looked at a calendar, 2010 was more recent than 09.
No, I think 09. In 2010, I think Alabama won in 2010.
They lost to South Carolina. Who was the head coach?
Oh, South Carolina. I thought you were talking about in the championship game. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah. Yeah, so see, yeah, right. Spurrier got him in 2010 in South Carolina. Yeah, right.
And they're not allowed to write schedules that way no more because Nick Saban pitched such a fit because everybody got a bye week before they played Alabama that season.
Yeah, that seemed like it just about.
No, the whole back half of the schedule did.
Yeah, they did. I remember that.
Just another log to add to the fire. Let's roll. You got to go to commercials. You got to get things.
Who scores first, Georgia or Alabama?
Georgia.
I sure as hell don't want to play them again.
Well, they were up 10-0, in the last one. Alabama plus 2.5.
God, it's so hard to beat somebody twice. Alabama.
Alabama is still Alabama.
It is. It hasn't happened in championship games, but it has happened in the last 50 years. It's happened 57% of the time when you play twice. Now, not in championship games, though. It's never happened. I think 6 times we've had a scenario where 2 teams played in the regular season and then for a championship game, and it's never happened where the team that won the first one won the second one. So there's that. But, over or under 52.5 points?
Over.
And SB4 plus 80.5 yards or BY, most yards passing?
BY. I think Bama's got to take the top off to win.
Roll all over their ass.
Yeah, and it doesn't include rushing yards. It's not total yards. It's just pure passing yards. And Stetson Bennett had 340, and BY had 421 in the SEC championship game. So there's that. All right, we got you in.
Catch you, man.
All right, let's get the break in here because Ray Dog knows that we got to get the break in here. So let's get the break in here. When we come back, it's Allan Bell Jr. from CBS Sportsline on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You know the crowd is ready. The top-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. The third-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. You ready?
the College Football National Championship, presented by AT&T.
Our coverage of the National Championship game on 97.7 ESPN The Zone is brought to you by Sports Med Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, Hometown Lenders, Valley Equipment Rental, North Alabama Mortgage, Bubby's Diner, and by DOC. Listen to all the coverage and game right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the end zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the end zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Here in the South, we like our traditions, like Alabama football and tailgating on fall Saturdays. And the best way to start your tailgate? Visit Brooks & Collier to see North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers. Big Green Egg, Blaze, and Traeger. Everything you need for that perfect tailgate. Check out our rubs and seasonings. We have a full wall to please any taste palate. Visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for 75 years. Roll Tide.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A bitterly cold afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 20s and lower 30s. We are going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine. The sunshine's just going to be incredibly deceiving. Dropping into the low and mid 20s as we head into the overnight. Plenty of sunshine for your Saturday. Saturday is actually going to be a pretty fantastic day. Temperatures seasonal for this time of year. Highs hanging out in the low and mid 50s. Dropping into the low 40s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Gotta love that football music on a football Friday. That is for sure. This segment of the show is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford. For all your service needs, it's Woody Anderson Ford. The service department at Woody Anderson Ford is second to none. It's your only choice to get your rig taken care of. And was I glad I was driving that Woody Anderson Ford F-150 last night, going home after filling in for Steve on the drive. And on my ride back, it was nice to be able to have that and know that I was safe making that trip. And weather wasn't as bad as they said it was going to be, but it was still a little bit slick, and there's a black ice warning out there, so kind of be careful for that stuff. Now, for the guys that are going up to Indy, I hope they got everything straightened out in Kentucky. I mean, I-65 was closed through most of Kentucky. They're like a state of emergency. They got dumped on pretty good up there. So, hopefully they won't have an issue getting up there for championship weekend. All right, joining us now, a guy that does a tremendous job for CBS Sportsline, and I'm sure he's looking at not only the weekend but also Monday night and looking forward to that. Allan Bell Jr. is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. AB, welcome in. How are you?
Big dog, doing great, man. You doing all right?
I am fantastic, and we'll get to Monday night here in a moment, but let's talk a little bit about the weekend that is the NFL, and there's still some meat on the bone. There's still some positioning that needs to be, kind of figured out, but one of the things I find interesting is that they put that Chargers-Raiders game Sunday night in Vegas, and that's for tantamount to a playoff game. But God forbid the Jags beat the Indianapolis Colts, which, by the way, the Colts haven't won a game in Jacksonville since 2014. I know it's a 15-point line, but if they upend the Colts and like they did the Bills, remember they went there to beat the Bills, for God's sake. If they upend the Colts and Pittsburgh then wins, against the Ravens, this scenario where a tie puts both the Chargers and the Raiders in, I mean, I'm not saying there'll be any funny business, but, there could be some funny business late in that game if those teams are playing close to the vest.
How crazy would that be? I mean, that's the NFL's nightmare scenario right there, right? Like, they would go crazy if that were to happen. I'll say this. If anybody out there, wagers on sports and you start to see late in that Colts-Jags game that the Jags might win, I'd go ahead and bet the under on that Chargers-Raiders game. I'd go ahead and lock that one in. But, yeah. Man, like, that would be nuts. That would just be a crazy, crazy scenario.
I'm not sure that I don't like them plus the 15.5 anyway, the Jags. It's just such a huge number, on the road. To be a road dog or to be a home dog at 15.5, that's a huge number. The Colts are going to win the game. They could comfortably win the game by 10. I don't know that the Colts go in there and beat anybody by 3 touchdowns.
No, and you know what? I don't think that, head coach Frank Reich is looking to do that, right? Like, I think that his game plan is going to be very similar to Alabama and Cincinnati, to be completely honest with you. Just go in there. Look, we could win 45-30. I'd rather just beat you 27-10, get on out of that thing. You know what I mean? So you're going to see a lot of Jonathan Taylor. You're going to see a lot of running the football, keeping it out of Carson Wentz's hands to make mistakes and just run that clock and get out of there. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, man. Like, I would definitely – 15.5, that's so many points, and especially, for a Colts team, honestly, that their drives, they could be long-lasting and just a ton of running the football.
Another big road favorite is the Titans in Houston. Houston came to Nashville and beat them earlier this year. Titans go down there as a 10-point favorite now in that game, with or without Derrick Henry. I think they should not play Derrick Henry. I don't care how good he looks in practice running at 3/4 speed straight ahead or going over dummies or any of that kind of stuff. I would not play that guy, especially on that synthetic turf there in Houston, where it's going to be even tougher on that foot when you now have 2 more weeks if you're the number 1 seed. I got to believe that they can go in there and with Dante Foreman averaging the same exact number of yards per carry that Derrick Henry was averaging before he went out with the injury, I got to believe that they can go in there, win that game, and give Derrick Henry 2 more weeks to really get right.
100%. I completely agree with you. That's got to be the game plan. Just let him continue to practice, get better each day, let him rehab at night, take care of what he needs to take care of because, like you said, they go in, if the Titans go in and win that game, and, you're going to get a first-round bye next week, so you can give them a whole other week to practice and then a whole other week leading up, to their divisional round game. So I agree with you. Just let the king ease back into this thing, and if he's good to go in the divisional round, buddy, look out for everybody.
You know what's really remarkable is here we're going into a unprecedented 17th week of regular season action, and he only needs like 37 yards, for 1,000 yards. He's not going to get it because I don't think he's going to play. There's a couple of other guys that possibly could get there, including Damian Harris, who's about 100 yards short of it. And if he plays a lot for New England down in Miami, maybe he has a chance to get to a 1,000-yard season. But here we are in a 17-week season where you only have to have about 55 yards a game to be a 1,000-yard rusher. And there's only 5 1,000-yard rushers. There's 21 1,000-yard receivers, and there's going to be at least 4 more probably after this weekend. A bunch of guys are sitting in the 980s, 970, 980 range. But that's amazing. You would think that there'd be 10 or 15 running backs that went over 1,000 yards. There's only 5 in the entire NFL that have gone over 1,000 yards this season.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it goes to show you, the importance of, the passing game in the NFL. I mean, look at it this way. Derrick Henry is 6th in rushing in the NFL right now. He has more rushing yards than Ezekiel Elliott. It's crazy. But, yeah, man, it just goes to show, the NFL is a passing game. Same thing with college. It's just where the football, aspect of it is going. But you know what? I'll say this. You know this better than anybody. Whatever the NFL, transitions to, this is what every team is doing. Well, the smart ones start to think of it the other way, right? And, the running game will come back.
Oh, it will.
It'll be very important. Yeah, absolutely. So it's just it's a game of cat and mouse, man. It's wild to see.
Well, it's like you mentioned the college game. Everybody wants to run the spread. Everyone wants to have this crazy eye-popping offense with 55 points and, Big 12 type stuff and all that crazy stuff. But look who's playing in a national championship. 2 of the top 5 defenses in the entire country. Michigan was a top defense. Cincinnati was a great defense. When Clemson is winning national championships, they have a great defense. It's still at the end of the day, if you can be that unicorn, that team that plays great defense and actually runs the ball some, you still end up in these national championship games. It's just the way it is. And I'm not saying that, both those teams can't score some points, Alabama and Georgia, but they both have great, great defenses. And you wonder when the rest of college football is going to kind of catch up with that and say, yeah, running 100 plays is great, Josh Heupel, but you will do nothing until you put together a defense that can lock people down.
100%, man. You're exactly right. It's a whole lot easier to win when the other team isn't scoring, right?
Yeah.
That's a much better game plan than saying, okay, well, we have 8 drives in a game and we have to score touchdowns on 7 of them. That's a risky play. Yeah, you're right. That's why we don't see a lot of national championships out of the Big 12, right? We just don't see it because they ain't playing defense, man. And Alabama and Georgia, buddy, they got 2 of the best ones we've seen.
And Ole Miss started playing better defense this year. They won 10 games. You know what I mean? You could score a lot of points. And the flip side of that is that, everybody gets gaga over running 100 plays. Well, you know what? If you run 100 plays, your defense probably was out there for 80 plays too. You've got to play complementary football. You got to use your offense to help keep the other team off the field as well. Just because you can score in a minute and a half doesn't mean that you should score in a minute and a half. And that's the thing that is lost a lot of times on a lot of these coaches.
Oh, you're right. I'll give you a perfect example. The Kansas City Chiefs, once they figured that out and hey, let's play some defense and have some balance, look at them. They literally went from one of the worst teams in the NFL to one of the best teams in the NFL immediately because of their defense.
The New Orleans Saints could make the playoffs at 9-8, and if it follows the chalk, they will. They are a 3.5-point favorite at Atlanta. If they win and San Francisco loses at the Rams, then the Saints are in the playoffs and the 49ers are out. The 49ers are a 4.5-point dog at the Rams. The Rams are still playing for the division championship there, possibly, if Arizona were to lose to Seattle. That's an interesting setup. New Orleans has been in absolute grease fire at quarterback ever since Jameis Williams went down. What do you think? Can Atlanta stop the New Orleans Saints from getting to the playoffs, or do the Saints win that game? 3.5 is the number.
I mean, the Saints probably win that game. The Falcons could definitely win it, right? I don't think that, the Saints are any type of a world beater type team. It's going to come down to the Falcons and their offense. If the Falcons are putting up points, especially, what we've seen in some games where they can get to 30, 35, the Saints aren't going to score that many. They're just not going to do it. I think this is all about points here. The fascinating part, with the 49ers and the Rams game that you mentioned, the 49ers, man, they've had their issues for sure. But the one thing that seems constant no matter what is that Kyle Shanahan kind of owns Sean McVay in a weird, it's wild. He's 5-0 in his last 5. He absolutely, and all these guys, they came up together, in Washington, and there's just something with Shanahan and Sean McVay. So I'm fascinated to see that game. But yeah, I think the Falcons can win it. They're just going to have to do it with points. If it's a low-scoring affair, no, they're not going to win that game.
Yeah, that will be a really interesting scenario, the way that whole thing plays out. All right, and then the other thing, too, we're a minute away from Black Monday in the NFL. We're going to have some coaches fired. We know that. But the off-season drama at quarterback in this league is going to be amazing. Obviously, I'm watching it close in Cleveland. The whole Baker Mayfield, does he want out, does he not want out? Mayfield came out and said that's a media concoction. There's no way I want to play for this team and these fans for the rest of my career. I love that he is saying that. I'd love to see what he could do healthy again. If he could have a year like last year, it's every other year for him in his first 4 years. Good year, bad year, good year, bad year. I'd love to see what he could do healthy. The thing is, when you start talking about moving on from a quarterback, whether it's Tua Tagovailoa in Miami, whether it's Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, whether it's whoever it is, Jameis Winston in New Orleans maybe or whatever, tell me who's the guy that you're getting. And with Deshaun Watson being a wild card here and nobody knowing whether or not he's toxic or touchable or not, unless you told me that Russell Wilson was going to Cleveland, that's about the only maybe Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know that I would be touching any of those other guys. But it's going to be really fascinating to see what goes on with quarterbacks. There's probably 10 teams that are halfway decent teams that have got a big quarterback issue going into this offseason.
Oh, big time. You're exactly right. There's going to be a lot of decisions that need to be made. And you just nailed it right there. It's one thing to say, all right, hey, we're going to move on from our guy here. But you got to replace him. And teams aren't exactly like letting go of not only their, good starting quarterbacks, but their backup quarterbacks as well. We've seen, in this COVID football world that we live in, how important that it is to have a backup guy out there, So, there are going to be a lot of interesting moves. You bring up Russell Wilson. I'm fascinated not only with him, I'm fascinated with Pete Carroll. Is he coming back next year for the Seattle Seahawks? Yeah. This is going to be a pretty wild offseason, and not a lot of quarterback questions to be answered in the draft this year, right? So, yeah, man, I'm so fascinated to see how all of that goes down.
No Joe Burrow, no Justin Herbert, none of those kind of guys, even a Josh Allen, nothing like that in this draft. Now, who knows? It'll be interesting. 5 years from now, we'll be looking at it and saying, damn, dude, those guys all were in that same draft. Do you see what Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett? Yeah. They're starting in the Pro Bowl or something against each other, and we'll be like, who'd have thunk that, right? But you never know. You never know how it's going to work out. All right, give us your take on Monday night. We'll start with. I'll tell you what. We got a couple of props in there. We're doing it. We're using a championship fecta today on a Football Friday here in the Doghouse. So I'll let you make your picks so the rest of the guys can hear them and tell us what you think. Our first pick is who's going to score first, Georgia or Alabama. Remember, Georgia was up 10-0 at the SEC championship game. Bama doesn't get on the board until the second quarter in that game. Who scores first? Is it a toss-up, Georgia or Alabama?
I think it's Georgia. It's probably a field goal. I'll go with Georgia to score first in this one.
All right, on the side, Bama's getting 2.5.
Yeah, give me Alabama. If you're giving me Alabama with points, I'm going to take that all day. Nothing against Georgia, but I will absolutely take that, whether it's a blowout win, whether it's a tight win, whether it's a tight loss. If you're giving me Alabama with points and Nick Saban, yeah, I'll take Alabama all day.
This is a relatively low total, but this game, I thought the first game was going to be a slobber knocker. Did not see that being a 65-point game, was what it ended up being. 52.5 is the back number on this thing. What do you think?
Yes, Alabama and Georgia have shown us twice in the last 2 years that, when you have two great defenses, that's fantastic. It means that there's generally going to be points that have to be scored in aggressive style offenses. The last two times Alabama and Georgia played, both games ended exactly 41-24. I'm going to take the over in this one. Like we said, we think Georgia scores first, but Alabama's coming right back, and then it's on. So, yeah, give me the over in this game.
They do combine for about 83 points a game. That's their average, so it'll be interesting there. And then our tiebreaker is most passing yards. Now, interestingly enough, throughout the season, Bryce Young averaged almost exactly 80 yards per game more passing than did Stetson Bennett the fourth. Stetson Bennett had 340 yards in the SEC championship game. Bryce Young had 421, so he had 81 more yards than him. So I made the number 80.5. I made this prop up myself. I made the number 80.5. Stetson Bennett the fourth plus 80.5 yards, or Bryce Young, who has more yards passing.
Oh, Bryce Young. I'm going to take that. I'll take the prop right there on it. Look, Georgia runs the football because it has to. Alabama runs the football because it can. They've got both there. I'm going to roll with Bryce Young on this one.
All right, man. So we got you in. So there you go, guys. Those of you that are making your picks today, those are the picks of Allan Bell Jr. You find him at CBS Sportsline. Does a tremendous job. AB, enjoy the weekend, and we'll look forward to chatting again next week. We'll have a full slate of NFL playoff action to talk about.
Hey, you too, big dog. Thanks so much, man.
All right, man. Thank you. All right, we'll get a break in here. We'll come back. We got time to get a call or two in. On the other side, if you want to jump in, you can do that right now. 256-576-4977. I'm Thom Abraham. This is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Looking for a great deal? Well, I've got one for you. Thom Abraham here for Valley Equipment Rental. And at Valley Equipment, if you rent after 3 on a Friday or on a Saturday morning, you're not due back until Monday morning. So basically, you're getting the entire weekend for the price of one day. And if you're in the service or are a vet, they'll knock another 10% off. Valley Equipment is locally owned and involved in our community through charities and even supporting local teams. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. Stay tuned for info on where that will be and when it will open.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Carrier Rosenblum here with Rosenblum Realty, and we appreciate our MA family. Football season is back again, and we're here for your real estate needs. We've been also doing rental properties for many years. You may have a home that you need to lease out. You don't need the headaches. You need somebody to take care of it, make sure the repairs are done, keep the rent coming in, and screen the tenants. We can do all that for you at Rosenblum Realty, where we do property management services, or you can find a good home to rent as well. Call us at 256-539-9501. Put our years of experience to work for you.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
The rematch. Enough said. Touchdown, Alabama! It's the Crimson Tide versus the Georgia Bulldogs for the national championship. Live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Our coverage begins at 4. Join us Monday.
Roll Tide, baby. Here we go.
The quest for number 19 can be heard right here on your home for Bama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A bitterly cold afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 20s and lower 30s. We are going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine. The sunshine's just going to be incredibly deceiving. Dropping into the low and mid 20s as we head into the overnight. Plenty of sunshine for your Saturday. Saturday is actually going to be a pretty fantastic day. Temperatures seasonal for this time of year. Highs hanging out in the low and mid 50s. Dropping into the low 40s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Leading the way for sports talk in North Alabama.
Winning is the only thing that matters.
Thank you.
Yes, amen, I say yes.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Thom Abraham Show. All lines open. You've got to jump in right now. You can do it. Just like Dale has done it. And this segment of the show is brought to you by TOC Sports. For all your orthopedic needs, it's TOC Sports. I want to thank TOC Sports once again for stepping up and helping us with all of our coverage of this weekend's activities in Indianapolis for the championship game, and additional coverage as well on Monday, as we'll be wall-to-wall with it, taking you right up until the Crimson Tide Radio Network takes things over at 4 o'clock. TOC amongst the great sponsors that have helping us make that happen. All right, let's go to the lines. Dale is up next. Dale, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, doing good. How you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic.
Are you freezing to death or what?
No, it's nice and cozy. I refuse to walk out the door. That's how I don't freeze to death. They're nice and cozy here in the studio.
Yeah. I got fire and let it go.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I got some boxes from Rapala coming probably today sometime, and I won't. Yeah, bring those in. I'll open them up in the house, but I will not go out to the barn and hang anything because I'm just not going out there.
Freeze them. They may freeze them bust.
Yeah, the balsa would have break. Yeah.
Yeah, don't put that wood out there when it's 4 degrees. That's probably what's going to not make it. Hey, I want to ask you one question before I jump on the trifecta since somebody else is in here. What's your opinion on the, I know what you're going to say, but the Antonio Brown thing? It's for that he says stuff. You know, he's saying he was hurt. Bruce Arians saying he quit. I don't even know if you've been paying attention to it.
Oh, I've been paying a lot of attention to it. Look, he went jumping off the field, hopping off the field like there was nothing wrong with him.
Yeah,
I don't know what that was all about.
How can your foot be broken, bones popping out, but you're out there doing cheerleader moves in the end zone? I mean,
so
really.
I want to, but yet he is producing all kinds of records that he has this surgical ankle that needs surgery. While the doctors had cleared him, did something happen during the game? I think that I think he's a diva. He's an idiot.
Yep.
and he was pissed off about something. But I do think I'm going to put about 25% of this on Bruce Arians, because Bruce Arians has a history of being very, very abrasive. So I could see Bruce Arians being pissed off. But it might have residual from back in the day. There's probably crap that went on between those guys leading up to this.
Did you see his interview or his little press conference he done on ESPN?
Which one, Arians or Brown?
Yeah, Arians.
Yeah, I did.
Where he went back there and looked at him and said, "Hey, you gonna get back in the game?" He's like, "No, then you're done." So then, Antonio Brown, I don't know what his middle compared. He's always kind of. That would make me mad too, but I probably would have thrown my stuff down and acted like a fool like he did. But
no, they both handled it.
Halftime, he's all mad, and they calmed him down. But I said, "Never look." Don't tell you one more thing. I was looking, and Mike Evans was trying to calm him down, and Mike Evans looked like a monster compared to him. He looked like he was like a foot taller. I mean, like, holy crap! I know
Mike Evans is a big guy. All right, let me get your pick. Dale, let me get you in here quick, because we're gonna. The music's firing here.
Hey, let's just do
Who scores first?
Georgia all the way. Can I do Georgia all the way? Will it work that way or no?
Well, that makes it easy. Georgia. Over or under 52.5?
Oh, yeah. Over.
And over. All right, we got you in, Dale.
All right, appreciate it, brother. Have a good weekend.
Connor O'Gara standing by to come up at the top of the hour and join us. He does a tremendous job at Saturday Down South. We'll get his take on the game as well, right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Carrier Rosenblum here with Rosenblum Realty, and we appreciate our MA family. Football season is back again, and we're here for your real estate needs. We've been also doing rental properties for many years. You may have a home that you need to lease out. You don't need the headaches. You need somebody to take care of it, make sure the repairs are done, keep the rent coming in, and screen the tenants. We can do all that for you at Rosenblum Realty, where we do property management services, or you can find a good home to rent as well. Call us at 256-539-9501. Put our years of experience to work for you.
For over 20 years, Audio Insight has been designing and installing systems that integrate today's technology into homes and businesses all over the Tennessee Valley. At Audio Insight, they don't provide one-size-fits-all system solutions. Instead, they design your system from the ground up based on your valuable input. By working closely with you, Audio Insights can ensure that your system will meet your performance, budget, and aesthetic needs. Visit the showroom at 1229 Putman Drive off Jordan Lane and experience some of their fine products firsthand. Visit audio-insight.com to learn more.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott says he plans on playing in the regular season finale against the Eagles tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern, ABC, ESPN TV, and ESPN Plus. Coach Mike McCarthy planning to play his starters despite a trio of them, rookie linebacker Parsons, offensive tackle Tyron Smith, and cornerback Anthony Brown, all out after being placed on the COVID-19 list. Dallas currently is the 4th seed in the NFC, Philadelphia the 7th. Eagles Cowboys, 8:15 Eastern tomorrow night. Jaguars are interviewing Buccaneers offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich for their head coaching vacancy today, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Green Bay offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett will interview with Jacksonville for that job next week. NBA Bucs star Giannis Antetokounmpo, probable against the Nets tonight, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN TV, was out the last game with a non-COVID related illness.
It's Alabama and Georgia for the national championship.
I think it's pretty obvious that you're very, very proud of, our team.
Listen to all the coverage and game right here.
Hopefully we play well enough to beat a great Bama team.
On 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby.
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like Elle McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. Glad that you are with us today. And this segment of the show is brought to you by the great folks that are down at Valley Equipment, and Ross Roberts and his crew. They're ready to take care of you if you're thinking about doing a little project this weekend. Remember, even if you are a fan of the NFL, you don't get any NFL action tomorrow till like 3:30 in the afternoon. You know what I mean? So you get a lot of work done tomorrow, and I know I'll be doing a lot of things. And if you need a specialty piece of equipment, you can get it at Valley Equipment Rental. They take care of the entire Tennessee Valley, and they got more skid steers down there than anybody else, excavators and everything. And don't forget, coming up in April, they will have their second location opening up, and that'll cater a little bit more to the contractors with the bigger equipment, but that'll also free up some room on the South Parkway where they'll have even more equipment for you to get the jobs done around your own property. It's Valley Equipment Rental, and another one that is helping with our coverage in Indianapolis of a championship weekend right up until kickoff of that game. And so we appreciate Valley Equipment Rental for also stepping up and helping us out with that big trip. All right, joining us now, a guy who does a tremendous job, I assume is going to be in Indianapolis. Maybe not. Maybe he'll stay in Florida. I know I would. On the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, it's Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South. Connor, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing well, assuming I'd stay in Florida. Come on, man. I'm Midwest born and raised. I am standing right now in my in-laws' house in Indianapolis, like 25 minutes east of downtown. Of course I'd be up here.
Is it out of the single digits yet? It's like 6 there,
No.
isn't it? I mean, come on.
It's a little on the chilly side. I'll be honest. I'm thinking back to the moment yesterday in which I mowed my lawn outside in shorts. It's a little bit of a different vibe here, but you know what? That's fine. We got a lot of things indoors, including a football game, so everybody's going to be all right.
In Tennessee last weekend, we had on Saturday, on New Year's Day, it was 75 degrees, and on Sunday night we got 6 inches of snow. I mean, that's how wacky it can get, in the Mid-South. But, up there it's good. We were pushing. I didn't think I had enough influence to get it done, but we were pushing for a venue change. Once it became Alabama and Georgia, we're like, come on, we could just play this in Florida or Georgia or Atlanta or New Orleans. I mean, why do we got to go up to Big Ten country? Well, I don't want to go to Big Ten country. I want to play this here in the Deep South.
No, here's why, and here's what college football people don't realize outside of the Big Ten. Indianapolis is a fantastic championship town. Everything is so centrally located. You're not driving all over the place. It's not sprawled out. Great bar scene, great restaurant scene downtown. You've got an indoor stadium, a beautiful venue for a big-time event. They've hosted Final Fours, national championships. Shoot, I was at a Super Bowl here 10 years ago, all right?
Yeah.
Like, it is a tremendous championship town. As a Chicago suburbs native, I am so upset that the suburbs of Chicago, just Chicago in general, has botched the entire, let's host championship events thing. Instead, they built that spaceship that they call Soldier Field, and Indianapolis has been doing it right for the last 15 years.
I have said repeatedly that if they built a Lucas Oil Stadium on the banks of the Cumberland River in downtown Nashville, that Nashville becomes a Final Four site, a national championship site, and a Super Bowl site. You agree? I mean, Nashville's ready to take that
100%.
next step. Yeah. Just got to have the right stadium.
The Indianapolis was they had the exact right vision, and they used to host big time events at the RCA Dome, but it's a little bit different now when you're not having like one of those, like 1970s style, like, hey, we're going to use this for all different sports. We're going to have this, this tarp roof. Indianapolis has been doing it right for a while, and everybody should aspire to have a championship city like Indianapolis. You can control. They can't control the weather, but everything else that is within their control, they do right.
Greg Sankey says that all the muckety-mucks of college football are going to meet tomorrow there in Indianapolis, which is makes sense because everybody is there anyway. And he says that, look, the SEC's good with a 14 playoff. Of course they're good with a 14 playoff. Half the time they get two teams in the 14 playoff, and now for the second time in 4 years they got two teams in a national championship game. He says he is sensitive to the fact that, if it isn't the SEC, it's Clemson. It's a very much, Florida State had their run. It's very much college football almost becoming so regional to the South. It's why I am an automatic qualifier guy. I know you're not. But I think it would be great to have a team from out west, a team from the Big Ten, a team from the Big 12, and so on, all in the tournament at least. You're still going to end up with two teams from the South probably in the championship game, but it is going to be interesting to see where they're going with this expansion conversation because it's going to have to do. They got to do something.
Oh, you're right. It would be great. Play better football and then earn the right to get there. Don't just have a handout. Why are we pretending that all conferences are created equal when the SEC is about to crown a national champion for the 12th time in 16 years? Meanwhile, in that entire stretch, the Big 12 has as many national championships as you and I combined. The Pac-12 has as many national championships as you and I combined. The Big Ten has only sent one team to a national championship in the entire 21st century. And then ever since Jimbo Fisher had that Jameis year at Florida State, it's been all Clemson in the ACC. So, what are we really talking about here? Not all conferences are created equal. And this belief that we need automatic qualifiers, and that's really what's going to be the difference maker. And it's just, the SEC bias. It's this has spanned over two systems. What makes anybody think that that's all of a sudden going to change? I personally don't. The SEC is going to win no matter what system you put in front of them.
It's kind of weird. You almost think about what happened with NASCAR when they forced it to become more of a coast-to-coast type of sport. It actually lost interest, even in other parts of the country, when they forced it to be that way, other than being kind of a southeastern thing. You wonder whether or not that would happen. I don't think it would happen with college football. I do think Lincoln Riley has an opportunity to return USC to the Pete Carroll years to where they are a real player in this thing. I just think of how many players the SEC goes and gets out of that Los Angeles area, including the last two quarterbacks. If he can keep some of that talent home, there's enough talent out there. It all seems to migrate to USC, maybe some to Oregon. But I get the feeling, I just have a feeling that that's the hope for the rest of the country, maybe Lincoln Riley out west.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think that program is nearly as turnkey as some make it out to be. I mean, you hear some of those Southern California kids talk about what it's like to be recruited by USC, and then you go to these games and you're just like, where is everyone? This doesn't feel like big-time college football. If I wanted to play in front of 30,000 people, I'd go to Northwestern. If you want to play in front of a big-time packed house, you come to the SEC. You come to a place that has teams like South Carolina, where South Carolina is coming off of a 2-win season. You've got 80,000 people in the stands pretending like every play is going to decide a national championship. That's why the SEC continues to recruit at such a high level, and why the Pac-12 and specifically USC has struggled really to have anybody outside of Pete Carroll in the last 30 years have any sort of success there. And he had to cheat to do so. I mean, say what you want about the rules now, but back then, yeah, it was considered cheating. So I look at this situation at USC and I think, yes, you got the exact right hire, Lincoln Riley. If he can't do it, who can? I get all those things. But I just think it's going to take a little bit to get people back and interested in that program and to make it feel like, oh, hey, recruits, don't leave here. Stay here and play in this atmosphere.
Connor O'Gara with us from Saturday Down South. And, all right, so 5 weeks ago it was a 17-point win for Alabama. You can dig into the numbers and say, this wasn't just like a flat-out blowout. I mean, they were down 10-0 in that game. Alabama gets it going in the second quarter of the game, and it's kind of back and forth for a minute. They hit the 55-yard pass to Williams. That kind of blows it open a little bit, and then there's Jordan Battle's pick six. But But still, Georgia had over 450 yards of offense. Stetson Bennett threw for 340 yards. All of those types of things. And Alabama played that near-perfect game. I don't know that they have to be near perfect to win, because you don't have to win by 17. You only got to win by 1. But can Alabama play that kind of a game again where their quarterback doesn't get touched? They don't have tackles for losses. They're able to hit the ball downfield. All of the things that happened 5 weeks ago, can they really duplicate that again in Indianapolis Monday night?
Can they? Yes. Do I think they will at that level? No, not quite. I don't think that Alabama is going to be able to keep Bryce Young upright as well as it did. And think about all of the ammo that offensive line had, and all of this conversation about how bad they were against Auburn, how bad they were against LSU. Oh, my gosh, worst Alabama offensive line we've ever seen coming into that game. And you know what? Maybe Georgia didn't necessarily think it needed to diversify its pressures. Maybe it didn't necessarily think it needed to be able to kind of dial it up. It thought it could go a little bit more basic, and it didn't really work out. And so as a result, Bryce Young picked Georgia apart, and that was a pretty lopsided game by day's end. But I look at this matchup now, and I think, man, I just watched Georgia up close and personal in Miami, and I have no idea how you're able to contain them for 4 quarters, and that pressure with Nolan Smith, with Kobe Dean, Trayvon Walker, all these guys who can get after you. And, yeah, Bryce Young, if you could draw up any quarterback to be able to escape that pressure, it's him. But at the same time, I still look at this matchup, and I think Kirby Smart is going to make those adjustments. There is simply no way that they're not going to be able to get after Bryce Young, at least a little bit. I'm not saying that he's all of a sudden going to take 7 or 8 sacks, but I do think that it's going to be a little bit of a different story in that regard, and I think Georgia's going to be able to generate more success up front.
Alabama made the decision to come out and just jam the ball down Cincinnati's throat, called 9 running plays in that first 10-play drive, and there was a 10th running play, which was a scramble by Bryce Young. And, that was a bit of an adjustment based on what kind of a defense that they were going to see out of Cincinnati with that 3-3 type of look. You got to figure that Nick Saban's also looking to make adjustments, but I don't know what they can do. They ran the ball. Brian Robinson, 3.5 yards a carry in the SEC championship game. He only had about 58 yards in that game. I'm not sure that you can just line up and automatically do that. Nobody's been able to run that ball like that against Georgia. What adjustments can Alabama make to offset what they think might be coming from Georgia?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Bama's going to have less at its disposal compared to last time because you're without John Mechie. I mean, that's been kind of overlooked a little bit because Bama obviously rolled in the second half against Georgia and they won convincingly against Cincinnati. But Bryce Young in those 6 quarters without John Mechie on the field has only averaged 7 yards per attempt. And if you take away that 55-yard touchdown to Jameson Williams, which was very early in the first 2 minutes of that second half against Georgia, the number drops to 5.9. Like, kind of quietly, the passing game really hasn't taken off. And obviously, we're talking about elite defenses here that they're going up against. But I don't necessarily know, other than Ja'Cory Brooks going off, that Alabama all of a sudden has something new to be able to throw at Georgia. Because I got to think that Kirby Smart is going to say, you know what, Jameson Williams, we cannot let him get going. We're going to have way more pressure on the back end. We cannot let that guy beat us. And so you would say, all right, if you're Bill O'Brien, what are you going to do? You're going to dial up these 2 tight end sets. You're going to try and get Jaleel Billingsley involved. You're going to try and get Cameron Latu involved, Slade Bolden. These guys need to be able to take advantage of all those underneath routes because over the top is going to be Jameson Williams territory. And I don't know that that's necessarily going to be there. So, yeah, I don't know what Bama can play that it hasn't already because you're right. I don't think the ground game is necessarily something you can rely on against a defense that good.
I had picked Alabama in the first one. I'm picking Georgia in this one, 24-20. I thought the first game would be a slobber knocker. I did not see it going. I thought it was going to be like a 21-17 type of game at 2 great defenses getting after each other. I didn't see it being a 65-point game. Could we get that slobber knocker? Might the adjustment be Alabama trying to push this thing to the fourth quarter and using their defense and controlling the game a little bit more that way as opposed to, trying to go up full-blown, outscore them?
Yeah, I think it will be. This is so rare to see an in-season rematch. I mean, think about that. Think about how little time these teams have had since they last had to go 60 minutes with one another. It is an incredible thing because personnel doesn't really change a whole lot. And you would think, all right, you should be able to come up with a better plan to contain Brock Bowers. Easier said than done, right? You would think that you'd be able to come up with a better plan to contain Jameson Williams. Easier said than done. But at the same time, I think both of these coaches will look at that and look at what happened in the last game and say, all right, we're going to be able to make these corrections. We're going to play a different style game. And both of these coaches in the lone in-season rematches that they've ever had defensively have been pretty darn good. Georgia had the in-season rematch with Auburn back in the 2017 SEC Championship. And then Bama, of course, game of the century was part one against LSU. And then the national championship, 21-0. LSU crosses midfield once. Everybody knows how that game ended up. So I look at that and I say, you know what? I'm going to trust these guys to make those adjustments. I have Georgia winning this one 24-17. And I'm ready to look like an idiot. I'm at that point where I'm going to feel so dumb if I picked against Alabama twice. But like you said earlier, I just don't necessarily think Alabama can beat a team like that twice.
My mindset in the first one was I can't pick Georgia until I see it. I want to see it. I felt like I saw glimpses of it in that one, and I saw what they did against Michigan. And my mindset isn't as much on what Georgia can do. It's just how perfect that game was that Alabama played, with no sacks, no tackles for losses, no penalties that gave up first downs, and all the things that they did throughout the season that made them look young and stupid at times, even though they were winning games. You couldn't beat Georgia like that, so they didn't play like that. I'm willing to make that same pick that you're making. Like I said, I'm 24-20. I'm willing to make that pick and then just shake my head in amazement on Tuesday morning and just say, this is just the best coaching job maybe ever of all of the Nick Saban championships.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be lost in the shuffle, because we're going to, if Bama wins this game, we're going to do the thing where it's like, another Saban title. He found a way. And that's no big deal. But, man, you look back at this regular season, and it was not vintage Bama at all. And this would be more comparable to 2017, where Bama just kind of had a little bit of a grind offensively. I didn't think Jalen Hurts and Brian Dable meshed that well in terms of what they were trying to do together. But I would look back on this season and say, how in the world did they find a way to peak at this time? Because, look, 6 of their 8 SEC games were one-score games in the fourth quarter. This was not Bama blowing teams out left and right like it did last year. And if they repeat with this formula, with this group that's this young, man, you would have a hard time not saying it's one of the better coaching jobs, not just of the Nick Saban era, but that we've seen in college football in recent memory.
Yeah, this is kind of the tweener team, is what we've been saying all week long. I mean, this was the team that's before the – look they're all back next year. I mean, for the most part. The parts that they'll have to replace, they've already – the running back room is going to be outstanding. The kid from Georgia Tech has been a stud already in practice, and they know he's going to fit right in. You'll have to replace Jameson Williams, but they always have, a stacked wide receiver room. Ja'Cory Brooks is going to be a star, it looks like. And then you got Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, all these guys back on defense. Henry To'oTo'o needs to come back. He's nuts if he leaves. I mean, he needs to get a little bit stronger, come back, and have a dominant year next year. This was supposed to be the kind of the team in between, Connor, and it's hard not to think that, they're the team to beat going into next year.
Yeah, when all the way too early 2022 rankings come out, and I haven't checked with my bosses yet. I usually have to do that. I should probably get on that if that's going to be my responsibility. Bama's going to be number one, I think. I firmly believe that. I mean, Bama's got the best 2 players coming back in college football, Bryce Young, Will Anderson. And for anybody, and I know, and I won't name names here about who was talking about the subject of, could Will Anderson sit out his junior season? Dude's not wired that way. He's just not. And if you heard him speak, if you've watched his leadership skills, he is not built like that. Do I think that he should have the right to be able to go to the NFL? Yeah, of course. And it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say like a slap in the face to a guy like that to tell him that he's not ready just because of how many years he's been in college. But Will Anderson could go to the NFL and do just fine for himself. But you're right. Bama has so much coming back next year. And if you're a Bama fan, and if you watch Georgia celebrate a national championship for the first time since 1980, that's your silver lining, is knowing that you're going to be the overwhelming favorite to be back there and to win it all next year.
You can make the case that either Will Anderson or Bryce Young in this spring's NFL draft would be the number 1 pick overall. If not one, the other one. And they both would be in the top 5. And, that's what made me bristle about all the opt-outs, the bowl game opt-outs. And it drives me nuts because I sit there and I say, well, What do you mean you're going to opt out of this game? You're going to opt out of the Rose Bowl. You're going to opt out of the Sugar Bowl or some other major bowl game. You're going to opt out of that game because you feel like it's a meaningless game. Well, why aren't you opting out of the cupcake game that is played week 4? Why aren't you? What do you want? Should Bryce Young and Will Anderson opt out of the entire season next year if they win a national championship and say we're going to focus on the NFL draft? I mean, that you're either a football player or not.
Do you know why though? I mean, think about it. All right, if let's say you had a big job interview coming up, and you're like, all right, what's the best possible way to make myself look good? You pad the stats, man. You beef up that resume.
Sure.
You let them know, hey, this is what it looks like when I go against that left tackle from Charleston Southern. All right, like I need as much good film on me as humanly possible. And in the early season part, you're still getting that. So I get that a little bit more than the bowl games when it's kind of like, all right, he's already in the bar. All right, what are you really going to think of Kenneth Walker if he plays in this bowl game? Are you really going to change your impression of him after the year that you had? I understand that a little bit more, but that's why those guys play in those games, and because they don't feel like their risk of injury is necessarily as high if they're going against the lesser teams and if they're only playing half a game's worth of snaps anyways.
My problem is that you got, Kenny Pickett's teammates all year long. You know what I mean? They battle and they fight and they win, and they win because of him and all of that. Now, 98% of those players are not going to go to the NFL, but, they could be a Peach Bowl champion, or you could be a Rose Bowl champion, or whatever it is, that they can have that for the rest of their life, and then you abandon your teammate at the end. I don't know.
Okay, but what about Mark Whipple saying, all right, I'm going to resign before the bowl game and I'm going to go to Nebraska?
Oh, God, I hate it.
Going to pay me more money.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that is the other side of it is all of the coaches that bailed. I mean, to have Brian Kelly bailing and to have Lincoln Riley bailing and all of these coaches doing the same thing, it's awful. And I think that's the message that we're sending. That this is awful. But I think that's why we got to get rid of December signing day is because these coaches, we got to try and keep them around till the end of the season. What's the message? All the way across the board.
I don't know. I think that some of the coaching messages that are being set, like picture being an LSU player. And you're an LSU player, you just beat your rival, Florida, and you're feeling like, all right, we hear the noise, we know our coach is on the hot seat, all these different things. Some of those guys were there when they won a national title 2 years ago, and then your administration says in the middle of the season, hey, he's gone. Yeah. He's going to stay on as your head coach, but your season is now meaningless because we decided to cut bait on your head coach, even though it was going to make no difference if we did it 6 weeks from now. That's where I think part of the problem is. And like some people are saying that's a result of the early signing period. I totally get it. I think part of it is just the greed that goes from the top up and how much these athletic directors want to make those big splashy moves. And, they're not necessarily thinking about how that's considered within that locker room. And all those guys are basically told, like, hey, your season is useless now. And what kind of message does that send for the rest of the season?
That's a great point. Connor O'Gara has been our guest. Saturday Down South is where you find him. His stuff is great. Tell them where they can find your podcast, too, because you're obviously great on the radio and you do a really good podcast. What if they want to listen to that?
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, Saturday Down South podcast, wherever you get your podcast. We have a lot of fun with it. Just had Josh Pate on for today's episode and talked a whole lot of title game stuff. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we could, break down and didn't even have time for to be able to get to. But yeah, SaturdayDownSouth.com, as I always say, it's the one-stop shop for all, not just college football fans, but college sports fans in general.
Well, enjoy your family, enjoy your time back in motherland for you, and enjoy the single-digit temperatures. Stay warm. Hopefully you didn't throw all your gloves and hats away when you moved to Florida.
In-laws saved them for me. We're good. I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. Connor O'Gara, he is great, man. All right, we're going to go open lines now the rest of the way. I'm going to flesh out the comments of Greg Sankey. You want to react to that as well. What is the answer? What is the answer to all of it? What is the answer to the Southern domination? I'm not even saying SEC domination because, you go back, if it's not the SEC, it's Clemson or Florida State. It's a Southern team out of the ACC. Is there an answer? And is there one thing that college football can do to even the playing field that the NFL did? I'll explain next on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, "If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself."
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today and get $1,000 off MSRP. See how at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food from delicious starters to 50s-style diner food and meat-and-free meals, featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open Monday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. Drive-in, drive-through, carry-out, or curbside pickup with delivery coming soon through Grub South. Bubby's Diner, home of the Donut Burger.
Thom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
For over 20 years, Audio Insight has been designing and installing systems that integrate today's technology into homes and businesses all over the Tennessee Valley. At Audio Insight, they don't provide one-size-fits-all system solutions. Instead, they design your system from the ground up based on your valuable input. By working closely with you, Audio Insights can ensure that your system will meet your performance, budget, and aesthetic needs. Visit the showroom at 1229 Putman Drive off Jordan Lane and experience some of their fine products firsthand. Visit audio-insight.com to learn more.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A bitterly cold afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 20s and lower 30s. We are going to get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine. The sunshine's just going to be incredibly deceiving. Dropping into the low and mid 20s as we head into the overnight. Plenty of sunshine for your Saturday. Saturday is actually going to be a pretty fantastic day. Temperatures seasonal for this time of year. Highs hanging out in the low and mid 50s. Dropping into the low 40s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. North Alabama Mortgage is there for all your mortgage needs. Whether you're refinancing or buying new, it's North Alabama Mortgage. With conventional VA, FHA, and USDA loans, Brian Hammaker and his crew will help you through the entire process like they did for me. And it's always good to deal with a guy that kind of, talks the talk that we do and walks the walk that we do, and that's what you get with Brian Hammaker. So check out his team. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's North Alabama Mortgage. They are VA specialists. They work very hard for the veterans out there as well. All right, phone lines are open now the rest of the show, and you can get your opportunity to get in on our Friday trifecta now, 256-576-4977. It is a championship fecta. We'll hook you up with food at Champy's and tickets to an upcoming Huntsville Havoc game. But remember, we also have our grand trifecta, so you get points. You earn points if you even hit just the first three aspects of this thing. You earn points towards the grand trifecta, which goes through the Super Bowl. And the grand prize for that is a night in the TOC Sports Ice Suite at a Havoc game, hosted by the Junkyard Babe and myself, Grizz, maybe Andrea, and we're going to give you 4 spots in the suite. We'll have some chow in there, and the first round is on me. So it's going to be a good night had. Just ask Grumpy. He did this a few years ago when he won the thing. It's to be a good night had by all down there with that deal. Now, our championship fecta is this. I can't say it. I've been trying to say championship fecta, and I can't say it for some reason. I don't know why, but I can't say it. I'm not talented enough. But here it is. Who scores first, Georgia or Alabama? Then the game itself, Alabama plus 2.5. The over or under, 52.5 points. And then the tiebreaker, which is who has the most passing yards. Stetson Bennett the fourth with plus 80.5, or Bryce Young. So if you pick Bryce Young, he has to have more than 80.5 yards more than Stetson Bennett the fourth. That's the way that it has to work out. So if you want in on it, you can jump in on it. We talk about the other injuries and talk about, the biggest concern I have is Ekiyor really. I mean, there is very little information. It's not like the NFL where they got to give you a lot of information. They don't have to give you a lot of information regarding injury. What is the status of Ekiyor? What is the status of Owens? And even if they do go, how good can they go? That's a big part of this whole thing. You may have heard any update there. I don't know if they said it. Bill O'Brien will be interviewing next week for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching vacancy. I don't know how long the thought process was that Bill O'Brien would be around as an offensive coordinator at Alabama. I don't know if he would only leave for an NFL job. Most of the good college jobs have been soaked up right now. I I don't know what the future would hold then. I don't know if Doug Marrone would be a guy that they would look to elevate from the offensive line to being the offensive coordinator. But Bill O'Brien, Alabama offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien, looks like he'll be interviewing for the Jacksonville Jaguars job. Also on the list there, man, there are a number of ways that they can go. I don't know how great a job it is. There's a number of ways that they can go there. And in the NFL, what's going to go on this offseason, quarterback-wise, is going to be very, very interesting. When you go down through the list of teams in the NFL that are good jobs, good teams, decent teams that are in the middle of, or just outside of being a playoff type team. Obviously, the Titans and the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Bills and the Patriots are all set at quarterback. Is there any chance that Carson Wentz isn't the answer long term for Indianapolis? They seem to win despite Carson Wentz, not because of Carson Wentz. So that's a job that could be open. The Chargers got their quarterback for the next 10 years. Is Derek Carr, who's going to be the new coach with the Raiders? And is Derek Carr his guy? How much does Sunday night matter to whether or not Derek Carr is going to be the future at quarterback for the Raiders continuing, or is that something where they feel like they got to upgrade? The Pittsburgh Steelers need a quarterback. Between Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger, there was a period of time there where it was a revolving door at quarterback, the Mark Malones of the world. And those kind of guys that were playing quarterback there for Pittsburgh. Is Miami sold on Tua Tagovailoa? I don't think they are. And if there wasn't for all of the off-the-field shenanigans of Deshaun Watson would be the quarterback there in Miami. And the fact that, Tua dropped that ball on that pass against the Titans on Sunday, that one moment in time has become like the meme or the whatever you want to call it that every Dolphin fan is looking at and saying, well, here you go. That's our quarterback. The Ravens have their guy. They're 100% all in, of course, with their guy, Lamar Jackson. The Browns. What are you going to do with Baker Mayfield? And if you're going to move on, he's already under contract for next year for $18 million. That's a very club-friendly deal. Will he play on it? I think he would. There's a lot. He's a lightning rod for Browns fans. A lot of people think he's the reason they weren't better, but what would the options be? Would they have been better? Would they have made the playoffs with Case Keenum at quarterback? His backup? I don't think that's the case. Case Keenum does not have a very strong arm. Baker Mayfield has got great leadership abilities. I think he owns the room. There's a lot of things there. But you tell me who you're going to get. Who are you going to turn that team over to? With that offensive line and that running game, and they draft a big-time receiver, who you unless you told me that Russell Wilson would go to Cleveland, and Russell Wilson's not going to Cleveland. The only other guy that I would even consider, because Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere, the only other guy that I would even consider is Jimmy Garoppolo, if he could stay healthy. If they decide that 49ers that they're all in with Trey Lance and they want to let Jimmy Garoppolo go, take a look at it. But is Jimmy Garoppolo even much of an upgrade? Don't know. Denver needs a quarterback. The Jets think they got their guy. Houston needs a quarterback. Jacksonville has Trevor Lawrence for another couple of years. I don't know that that's going to work out. But you got San Francisco. There's talk about whether or not is Philadelphia as a playoff team. Are they 100% in with Jalen Hurts? Are they going to keep riding with Jalen Hurts? Tampa Bay is probably 8 or 10 years away from needing a quarterback because that freak is going to play till he's 60. Remember the cut that we always use? When I suck, I'll retire. That's 10 years ago. Tom Brady, when I suck, I'll retire. The New Orleans Saints are in desperate quarterback need. Minnesota probably needs a quarterback. The Kirk Cousins thing, and I don't want him in Cleveland. I know he's got a relationship with Stefanski. I don't want to see that. I wanted Kirk Cousins 8 years ago. I wanted Kirk Cousins. I thought he would last longer than RG3, and he did. When they had RG3 and Kirk Cousins were backing him up, I was like, you know what? I like Kirk Cousins better than I do RG3. Trade him to Cleveland. Now, that's over with. The Atlanta Falcons are in a position where they're going to need a quarterback in the next couple of years. Would I take Matt Ryan in Cleveland if Atlanta wanted to make a move?
Yeah.
You think Matt Ryan could walk into Cleveland at 36 years old, 37 years old, and take them to the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna be dead serious with you right. I'm gonna be dead serious with you right now. I don't know who would want that trash, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, is he better than Derek Carr at the Raiders? No.
To be honest with you, no, he's not. I mean,
Kellen Mond, are you all in on Kellen Mond? I mean, who's your guy?
I'll tell you right now, that offensive line wouldn't look as bad if there was a somewhat more athletic quarterback at the helm in Atlanta.
Did you draft Matt Corral after you drafted Kellen Mond last year? Mond is an athletic quarterback.
The injury kind of scares me.
Nah, that was nothing. The
well,
ankle?
Yeah,
and
and
they say he'll be fine
did Pickett have surgery, or did he? Doesn't he have? Is he in a sling right now?
Who?
Pickett. Was he not in a sling?
Pickett? I'm talking about.
Well, I'm just saying. I know. But I'm just saying. I'm talking about possible quarterbacks that I would like. But
I don't know that Pickett.
I thought I saw him in a sling on the sideline, so I just didn't know. Yeah,
I didn't know he was hurt.
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been opposite shoulder or something. I don't know. I thought I saw him on the sideline when they were talking about the game, or during the game. But no, I wouldn't take Matt. I don't know. I don't know if I'd take Matt Corral because, man, it just seems like the selection has not been good since Matt Ryan. If you go look at the backups, there hasn't been I don't know why there has been a selection of backups. Maybe just to have one. You know, it's always good to have a quality backup. I guess that's why a lot of guys go for veterans.
Kellen Mond, the guy that you think is the future?
Well, you mean Felipe Franks?
I mean Felipe Franks. Why do I keep saying Kellen Mond?
No.
Kellen Mond is at Minnesota. I'm thinking about him.
But no, not Josh Rosen.
Felipe Franks is not the future.
Yeah.
He is destined to be a
it's
career
difficult.
backup in the NFL.
This draft is really, really hard. But I mean, like, what about where's Desmond Ridder going to go? How high or how low in the draft is he?
I take Matt Corral over Desmond Ridder.
Would you? Would you take him over him?
Heartbeat.
So I just don't know if I'd take Matt Corral. I've seen some mocks for the Atlanta Falcons, and it actually says that they could possibly draft Kenny Pickett, but I just
think Pickett's the best of the bunch.
Yeah,
I just
but I mean, like, if you're in the like for instance, this weekend, do you beat your rival? Do you beat the Saints, or keep
them out of the playoffs?
Do you
knock them out of the playoffs?
Do you try to get a better draft pick? Because the defensive line is there. I mean, if we're in it, and it's a year that we don't need, there's not a very good quarterback selection. Go for some offensive line, go for some defensive line. If Matt Ryan truly has one more year,
so
or
if they
2 more
finish
years,
7-10,
you know what I mean?
If they finish 7-10,
yeah,
as opposed to 8-9, if they were 8-9 versus 7, it's probably 3 or 4 spots is all it's going to matter.
Yeah,
win the game.
Win the game.
Win
But
the
before
game.
I would have
Knock
told
New
you in the
Orleans
past.
out, win the game.
In the past, I would have told you like 2 years ago. I would have told you when they went. I mean, when it was just win out. Why? You missed out on a great draft pick and it didn't help you because the following year you went 8-8 again. You know what I mean? It's just difficult to watch.
I just can't. I can't stomach the tanking. Not a big tanking fan. So anyway, so Greg Sankey says the SEC is fine with 4 teams. He understands that there's an issue with the regionalization of college football, that it comes across that way. Is it because it just means more? I mean, they tell me they don't have fast kids in California, or I guess the fast kids in California go to the SEC. Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC, I think, will stem the flow of players out of Texas to traditional SEC teams. I think you're going to see more and more players now stay in Texas or go to Oklahoma because they know that they're going to be in the SEC. But Sankey was on with Paul Feinbaum, and he said that, look, he gets it. He goes, I think creating opportunities for others to make sure college football remains strong nationally is a compelling reason to give a little bit. He says he's fine with the 4 teams in the playoffs, but I think that it's okay to give a little bit. Well, we had 2 Southern teams and 2 Midwestern teams in the playoff this year. A Michigan team, an Ohio team, not that Ohio team. But we had a team from Ohio, a team from Michigan, and 2 teams from the South. The reason I like having automatic qualifiers is that you bring people in from all over the country, and then they get their ass kicked in the playoff. But maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. So Sankey, the conference commissioners, and Notre Dame's AD are going to meet tomorrow in Indy. They're talking about automatic qualifiers. But right now there is no consensus on a specific playoff format. They're not even settled anymore on if 12 or 8 is the best number. Sankey said, quote, "There's still health in the bowl system, and I think the 12-team format can permit bowls to exist. I feel prepared to show up and contribute to a decision, yet I'm not certain everyone is going to be in that same frame of mind." If you go to 12, that's 6 games in the first weekend, or you have buys and you have 4 games, those can be bowl games. That's 4 more bowl games that matter, that mean something in terms of being a playoff game. You have 4 bowl games that mean something. And then the following week or 10 days later, you have 4 more bowl games that mean something. So that would use 8 bowl games. Does that make sense? If you have 12 teams, right, 2 get a bye, and then the next, 4 would 4 get a bye, 10 would get a bye, 5 carried it 1, 5, 6, 7. If you have 12 teams, you're not going to have 6 bowl games because then you're going to have 6 teams, and then what do you do? So there'd have to be a bye scenario. So, type of deal. But I think you can mix in the bowls with that. The only other thing that you could possibly do is, could you possibly do something where you, what does the NFL do? The worst teams get the higher draft picks. The good teams get the lower draft picks. Could you possibly give more scholarships to team? I mean, could you do something like that? Like the top 10 teams get 22 schollies, and the next 10 get 25 schollies, and the next 10 get 28 schollies. I mean, this is all about player. It's all about personnel. Although I do believe that Nick Saban can take his'n and beat Yorin, and then take Yorin and beat his'n 2 weeks later. I do believe that. All right, Jason is up. Jason, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you today?
I am fantastic.
Hey, on these NFL quarterbacks, why don't they platoon them like they used? You remember when we had a 14-game schedule and you could see Ken Stabler, Darryl LaMonica, Danny White, Roger Staubach, what was it, Cleveland, Mike Fitz, and Brian Sapp? I mean, what's wrong with having 2 good quarterbacks on the roster?
There's nothing. I mean, the only reason Brian Sipe played was because Mike Phipps was playing poorly, and when Danny White came in, obviously he came in after Roger Staubach. You can remember Frank Reich. He would, anytime he would fill in for Jim Kelly, they would win and play great games. So I think we have some decent backups in the league now. But everybody, is there 32 real starters in the league? I mean, there's this feeling that there's only 20 starters, and there's 12 teams that are constantly looking for a quarterback.
It's the same thing as Major League Baseball. Back in the day, we only had so many teams to all the expansion, and you only had a certain amount of pitchers that would make the Major League squad, and that's why you had lesser home runs.
Well, you go all the way back to 1960, and when Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's home run record, one of the reasons they wanted the asterisk not only was the fact that it was 162 versus 154, the other reason they wanted it was because it was an expansion year, and there were probably 30 pitchers in the American League that year that wouldn't have been in the majors the year before.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like the scoring records we keep in basketball now. What do you think Pete Maravich would have done with a 3-point shot? How much he would have?
God. Are you kidding me? If you went back and if they went back and looked at Maravich's numbers, and so, what about Oscar Robertson? What would the Big O's John Havlicek? What would those guys have scored if there were a 3-point line? You'd have to go back and do revisionist history and see how many points those guys would. Those games back in the 70s would be 150-point games. Yeah.
You'd had Pistol Pete averaging 44 for a season. He'd have been throwing up 50 a night.
No, he did that in college. Yeah, Pistol Pete averaged 44 at LSU. And
44.1.
I bet it would have been at least 50. He would have averaged over 50 points.
Right. I mean, that's why I can't stand these NFL records they have now. Because they're doing those 7 and 18 games. I mean, 17 now. But OJ, as bad as he was, he still had 2,000 yards rushing in 14. That's a lot bigger accomplishment than anything they do now.
Right.
All that. Hey, can I get on the pick 3, the last one?
Yes, you can get on the trifecta. All right, so who scores first, Georgia or Alabama?
It's better luck when Georgia does for Alabama. Georgia.
I sure as hell don't want to play him again.
No, he doesn't want to play him again. The sides, Alabama gets 2.5 points.
Alabama
is still Alabama.
Over or under 52.5 points?
It's going to go under.
And who has more yards passing, Stetson Bennett the fourth plus 80.5 yards, or Bryce Young?
Bryce Young.
Roll all over their ass.
All right, we got you in.
I appreciate it.
Let's get a break in here, and we will come back with the final segment next, right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Thom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today. And get $1,000 off MSRP. See how at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
Valley, Equipment Rental. Pretty self-explanatory name, no? Thom Abraham here. And look, Valley Equipment Rental is all over the Tennessee Valley, and they rent equipment, all kinds of equipment, and not just to the contractors out there, but to you, the general public, as well. Need a skid steer or an excavator? Well, they've got over 40 units to make sure they've got one for you. From huge boom lifts to miscellaneous hand tools, it's at Valley Equipment Rental on the South Parkway. And soon, they'll have a second location to handle even more equipment. More on that to come.
So I'm going to watch it on TV.
The game's on. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be right there.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl. We like sports and we don't care who knows. Football, tennis, hockey. The game is starting. Everyone is here. I got my snacks, my friends, and a beer.
So I'm going to watch it on TV.
Are you ready for football? A Monday night party!
So I'm going to watch it on TV. So I'm going to watch it on TV.
Time now for What to Watch on TV tonight. It's brought to you by Audio Insight. And at Audio Insight, they understand that it's not a one-size-fits-all type solution for everybody that wants that audio or visual experience in their home. And they can do whatever it is that you need, from something simple like just hanging TVs or building an incredible multimedia room for you. They can do that. Wiring your whole house for sound, they can do that as well. And they work with designers. They work with your contractor. If you're building a house and you're thinking about having a media room or a home theater room type of thing, you want to talk to Audio Insight. They've been doing this for over 20 years. Dave Bond and his crew are incredible. We saw it firsthand when they did the work for us at the radio station. You can visit their showroom. It's at 1229 Putman Drive, right off of Jordan Lane. Or just go to audio-insight.com to learn more. That's audio-insight.com. You got NFL doubleheader tomorrow. You have got some good basketball tomorrow with Alabama playing Missouri. But some big games throughout the weekend. The best one of the weekend will be Sunday night, Chargers-Raiders. Basically a playoff game. Now, keep in mind, we'll have incredible amount of coverage for you beginning tonight with the drive from Indianapolis. We'll have coverage all weekend long of all the events that are going on from Indianapolis. And then all day leading right up to 4 o'clock and when the Crimson Tide Radio Network takes over for the game. So we've got all of that going on for you. So pay attention to that. For Chad Gwathney, I'm Thom Abraham. Chuck Oliver is next, and Paul Feinbaum right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.